Up, peoples? This is your boy Daniel Charles Williams, and welcome to my channel. Just on a quick break from work. It's what I do best. One of the things I do best is work, and I wanted to go on a little bit of a rant, try to make some sense with this one, try to touch on a little bit more of like personal finance. Because I was just thinking, like from an overall standpoint, you gotta have all your ducks in a row to really be successful at reselling. And I gotta get in some sun because it's kind of chilly out here. Weather's dropping. I might have to get into the car. It's kind of cold. It's kind of cold out here, but let me get into this car real quick. I'm like, yo, it is kind of cold out here. I don't know if I better chill out here. I'm not gonna be comfortable. Step into the whip real quick. Oh shoot. Give you something to look at besides me real quick. Let me see. Switch that. Right. Guess I can't. But gotta get off this cold. Ooh. Ah, yes. I thought I was gonna be outside for a minute. But it's too cold outside. That. Let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pause this joint. All right, guys, I'm back. Had to take a brief little pause so I can get a little bit more comfortable. So now I was just talking about personal finance. So now this is what I'm working on doing to get my personal finance in order so that I can be successful at reselling. Because right now I spend a lot of time working, and it makes it so difficult for you to do all the things you need to do to be successful at reselling. Because basically the resale, you guys already know, you have to go out there and source, which is fun. It's so much fun sourcing, getting stuff for dirt cheap and everything like that. You have to do that. You have to list your items, and that takes a lot of time. I think you spend more time listing items, and really, honestly, I don't really think listing is hard or really takes a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of time, but we take a lot of time doing it. The reason why we take a lot of time doing it because we're probably not really set up. We're really not set up to list. And I have issues with my listing area, and it kind of takes a lot of time because sometimes I list like inside my home. Previously I was listing I was listing on my break time. I was like doing a whole bunch of different things, even inside my garage where I have like my listing station. It's still not the best setup. I could make it a lot better. I just didn't have the time to do it. But it takes us a lot of time to list, because our newbies, us newbies, and people who just getting started and stuff like that, we really just haven't figured that out. So veteran people, I'm sure they probably got their listing station just set up, just perfect. Probably got a tilt table and probably got all these things, which, which makes it so much easy for them to list. And they probably have, whatever, I don't know, maybe 100 templates already set up inside their listing app. They got all these things. But for us, newbies and beginners and stuff like that, it takes us a lot of time. I think eventually we'll get to that point where, we're so fast with it. I remember listening to somebody on YouTube, and they said, basically it don't take them no time to list an item. It takes them, minutes, minutes to list something, and take the pictures and everything like that in minutes. I think it was just minutes to list. I don't think that included taking pictures, but just listing the item took minutes. And I wish I could list the item in a few minutes. It takes me a little longer than that. I don't know how long it takes me, but it don't take me, it don't take me a few minutes. But I'm getting faster and faster and better every day, but it doesn't take me that long. But anyway, so that takes you a long time to list. And then after that, you have to ship. So shipping, it's not a hard thing to do. And it doesn't take long, depending on how much stuff you got to list. So even listing also, a lot of us don't have our, listing stations and all that stuff in order. We just don't have all these things in order. So we need time. But the more time you have, the better you have, the more time you have to get all that stuff in order. You know what I mean? So how the heck can you have more time? Like, how can you have more time when you have to work so much to pay bills and do everything else? In my theory, and I just have my own personal opinion, everybody have their own. My theory is that what we need to do is limit, decrease our expenses, so that we don't have to work so much outside of the home, you know what I mean, to take care of ourselves. So, that comes with the basics. So, the basics, what are the basics? So the basics, these are the things that we have to pay every day. And most of us, struggle with it, right? So paying rent, mortgage, car note, paying car note, and food, those are the things that we can't avoid, because we need those things. People live in an area where they don't have public transportation. Public transportation is not as, just not as accessible in other areas. And people obviously need a place to live, right? So you need to pay your rent. You got to pay your mortgage. That's just what you got to do. And then obviously we need to eat, So, if you're just a single person, you probably don't have a lot of these problems. You wouldn't have too many problems, or you wouldn't have a lot of issues fixing problems if it's just yourself. But if you have a family, you will experience some of these problems, because it costs a lot to house a family. It costs a lot to feed a family, and sometimes you need a vehicle to get everybody around. So you're faced with those issues. So let's talk about, right, rent, mortgage. So rent and mortgage is too high. So what can you do about that? There are a few things, and not everybody will be able to do this. So I don't want to offend anybody, or basically, kind of categorize everybody in the same boat. I know everybody's not in the same boat, but sometimes when it comes to rent, we basically overspend when it comes to rent. Sometimes we want all the bells and whistles, and it all depends on where you live. If you live somewhere in the South, or you live in the country, because you could live up north and still be in the country area, that's possible. But, you want to get yourself in an apartment complex that has all the bells and whistles and stuff like that. Pool and, you know what I mean? What you call those areas where you have clubhouse and stuff like that. So you kind of, you want all these bells and whistles, and therefore to have all those bells and whistles, you have to pay for that. And that comes with a price. So, I mean, if you're struggling with such, a high rent, there's a good chance, or that's a good indication that maybe you need to move to another, to a cheaper apartment. Move to a cheaper apartment. Um, maybe get, maybe rent a room if possible to somebody that you trust and know. I'm really not a big fan on like renting rooms out to just strangers, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do in the meantime, just so you can get to where you want to go. But maybe renting a room. Basically, in my opinion, just move to a cheap apartment. That's all. Move to a cheap apartment. I work with a young lady who said she moved into a more expensive apartment because they wanted to move to they wanted to upgrade and everything like that. But eventually, she wound up moving back to with to the cheaper apartment because it just made sense financially. So don't be sold. And I know every day we're sold, right? Every day we're getting sold on a new apartment, a new house, a new car, and everything like that. Don't be sold on these things. Basically do the math. Do the math. And I think personally, this is my opinion. I don't know if this is like official or not, but I think our rent should, and I think it's like 50% of your monthly income you should pay in rent. I think like that's like an official like margin. No one should pay no more than 50% of their rent and 50% of their income towards rent or mortgage. Mine's, and I'm not saying I'm practicing this right now, but I believe everybody should stay within 25% of their monthly income for rent or mortgage. I think if you stay within 25% of your monthly income towards your rent or your mortgage, you'll be in a good place. Okay. So, all right. So if you're renting, get a cheaper apartment, get a cheaper place, do what you got to do. Like I said, take on a boarder, rent a room, um, do those things, and sometimes when people are renting, they don't realize if they get a mortgage, if they mortgage a house for a cheap home, and I don't want to call it cheap home. I'm just using that terminology. The home doesn't have to be cheap, but I'm just saying an inexpensive home, there's a good chance that you can mortgage a home for less than what you pay in rent. So yes, there's a series of things that you have to do to mortgage a home. It's not impossible. Some people be like, oh, it's impossible. I'm not going to be able to mortgage a home. No, you can mortgage a home. Not everybody needs a down payment to mortgage a home. Not everybody needs that. In some cases you do, and in most cases you not. You do not. I believe my first two homes I mortgaged, I didn't have a down payment. My first two homes. My third home I did have a down payment on. But my first two homes I didn't have a down payment. No down payment. Zero money down. I mortgaged a home, and that was like the best thing I have ever done. Just basically just made me money. Um, so because you have to pay to live, right? You have to pay. You got to pay rent. You got to pay mortgage. You have to pay. There's nobody living for free. So if you're going to pay something to live, you might as well be towards a mortgage, because at the end of the day, you get tax benefits every month, and then you get equity over time. All right. When you rent, you get nothing, right? What you get when you rent, you get rent increase. That's what you get. So you don't get any benefits from renting. So keep that in mind to people that's renting. Maybe you you know maybe you want a mortgage. Now, look, sometimes some people are reselling and they have an apartment and then they're paying additional fee for storage, right? I don't see the benefits in that. And I know it's something that's quick, right? So the rent, you don't need to go through all the bells and whistles and stuff. You need to put a deposit down and then boom, you got yourself an apartment. Same thing with buying with renting storage. You don't need to do enough. You need to put a deposit down and boom, there you go. You have it. You got somewhere to put your reselling your inventory. You could just put it in there, no problem, no um, you know what I'm saying? Like no red tape, no anything. So I know it's really, really convenient. But at the end of the day, you're paying so much money. And this guy that I work with, he doesn't resell, but he was storing a vehicle, a car. And he told me that he was almost paying $200 a month to store his car. He has a, old car, whatever it is. Almost $200 a month. I said, oh my God, my jaw dropped, right? So $200 a month for 10 months is, how much money is that? Right? $200 a month for 10 months. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right? 2, 4. I'm doing the math. I'm sorry. I'm slow, but 10, right? That's like a ridiculous amount of money, right? I don't have my what's the name, but that's ridiculous amounts of money. My mind is like still doing the math on it. Um, but it's ridiculous amounts of money, right? Um, I'm having a brain fog because I'm losing my train. Okay, so, but anyway, but for that amount of money, right? For that amount of money, every year is, I mean, it's such, in my opinion, it's such a waste, right? You have to factor that in. So if you're paying, um, whatever, I want to say like $700 a month in rent, and then you're paying another $200 a month, in storage, you're basically paying, $900, right? So $900 a month. $900 a month. Can you find yourself a place, a house? Can you mortgage a house for less than $900 a month? Have enough space to store a vehicle? Yes, you can. Um, and the same thing if that's your pay, and if the same thing if you're paying that amount of money to um, store your reselling inventory. Now I did see somebody on YouTube and they said they was paying like $150 a month to store their inventory. So $150 a month. He had an apartment, and of course he had a storage, you know, for his inventory. Now, can you say, you know what? I'm going to get rid of the storage. I'm going to get rid of the apartment. I'm going to mortgage me a house, which will obviously have somewhere for me to live and then have somewhere for my inventory. Yes, you can. You probably could do it a lot cheaper than what you were paying in rent and a storage fee. Yes, you got to get some things in order. Yes, you may have to kind of clear up your credit, but that's not impossible to do. It's not impossible to figure out what's going on with your credit and clear it off. A lot of us, don't even really have that many issues with our credit. We think we do, but we really don't. And there's so many ways around it. And I'm not, some credit specialist or anything like that, but we control our credit, right? No one else does. Yes, you have people who report on our credit, but if we want something removed from our credit, guess what? We can get it removed. I'm not saying they'll stay away permanently, but it'll stay away long enough so that you can be approved for a mortgage. Okay, quick nugget. Um, so there's plenty of ways around that. And people want to sell homes, and mortgage companies, they want to give you mortgages because that's how they make money. That's how they make money. So at the end of the day, you know, that's how mortgage companies make money. So, there is a mortgage company that'll give you a loan. So maybe not be the best interest rate in the world, but you can still get a loan, and I guarantee you it'll wind up cheaper than what you would pay in rent, if you do it smart. Okay, so the problem with people with mortgages is the same thing with, I mean, people with houses is the same thing with people with rent. They probably rent. They probably get too much more than they can chew. Um, and been there, done that. So I know we buy too much property because they sell us on too much property. You know, they sell you on too much property. They tell you that you can afford this amount of property. That don't mean that you should get that amount of property. So they say, hey, yeah, 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 you can, whatever it might be, you can get a $200,000 home, or whatever that might be, a $300,000 home, $400,000 home, but you don't need to get a $400,000 home. You really need to get $100,000 home. You know what I'm saying? Um, and just in case a home, just because a home needs a little bit of cosmetic work, all right? uh, you know, a little bit of cosmetic work. I mean, it's not a bad home. Yeah, you might need to put a little bit of flooring in. You might need to add some paint to it. Um, but in most cases, that home is the home that you will get at the deep, deep discount. Okay, at a deep discount. And some people are in fear of, oh, if I get a home, um, oh man, I can't afford to keep up a home. Now, people, this is why we can't keep up a home. We can't keep up a home because we are spending too much money on our expenses. Okay? So, if you're spending too much money on your mortgage and your expenses, no, you can't keep up a home. But you're supposed to get a home that is going to be um, affordable for you. Okay, so if you're spending 25% of your monthly income to pay your mortgage, guess what? You'll have enough money to fix a home just in case something happens. Because you should have at the end of the day, you should have surplus that you're putting away every day, and that's the whole purpose of getting a home, so that you don't have to pay so much on a month-to-month basis. Okay, and that's the problem. I think that's the trick here in America. And the trick is to make you believe that, oh, you know what I'm saying, if you do get a home, you're going to be paying a lot more money out your pocket. You are not. They sell you on that. Okay? They sell you on that. They sell you to make you believe, you know what I mean, you're supposed to buy all of this house, but you're not really supposed to. All right? If you buy what you're supposed to buy, then you'll have money at the end of the day to, fix the house. But we're always tricked and fooled on buying so much, or buying more than what we can afford. Okay. All right. So I went off on a little bit of a rant, but basically what I'm trying to say is that if you keep that monthly expense, for your mortgage or your rent down, you'll be better off, and you have, more time to spend doing other things that you love. Okay. All right. So next will be the car. So cars also too. We also sold on cars. My God, are we sold on cars, right? Every day you wake up, there's a car commercial. There's a car commercial. If there's not a new car coming out, there's someone saying that they can get you finance for, whatever, the world, right? They can get you finance for a Range Rover. Um, you know what I'm saying? If you come in, you know what I mean, with zero money down and all this blah, blah, blah. So my advice with cars is do not get a car note. Okay. If you got a car now, pay that crap off and don't get a car. Don't get another car note. Don't trade it in and get yourself into a newer car or whatever it is. A lot of times we spend so much of our money. We're spending like $100 a month on cars, and that's basically anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 a month we pay on a car, right? Every freaking year, we on average between $4,000 and $5,000 a year. Can $4,000 buy you a good car? Yes, it can. All right. No, you do not need the brand new car. No, you do not need the brand new used car. Okay. So if you're buying a brand new car, if you're buying a brand new used car, you're probably getting ripped off. Okay. So, what you want to buy is a car that you can afford. All right. So, There's many ways around saving money for a car. Okay, you need to cut out a lot of the expenses. First, you need to get yourself on a budget, right? So you should kind of create a car budget and say, hey, this amount of money I'm gonna put away every month so I can save up for my car. So, get a budget and make sure you put, whatever that is, whatever you can afford to put away, because you're going to cut away all the extras, all the fast food eating, all the coffee buying, all the movie going, all the clothes buying, all that stuff that you would normally do. Stop all that stuff and start putting some money away to buy a car. A lot of us get tax returns. So with putting money away plus getting a tax return, I mean, you probably can buy yourself a used car. Now imagine, man, if you put some money away, say it's not, maybe you can't put away $4,000, but maybe you can put away $2,000. You still can buy yourself a car. May not be the best car, but it'll be something that'll get you from point A to point B, so you can continue to save and buy the car that you want, all right, for about $4,000 or whatever it is. So you can take that car you brought, trade it in, plus, with the additional money that you save to buy a better car. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Do not get a car note, okay? It is only going to hold you down, only going to hold you back, only going to take the money, hard-earned money that you make every month. It is not good to drive around in a nice looking car and not have any money left at the end of the month. All right. So if you're driving around in a nice car and you live in paycheck to paycheck, that is not good. All right. So at the end of the month, it is better to have an additional $400 in your pocket. Better to have an additional $400 in your pocket instead of you riding around in a nice car. Okay? Because really, honestly, to tell you the truth, all right, you guys don't want to hear this. No one cares that you're driving around in a nice car. No one cares. The only person that cares is you. Okay? So really, you think in your mind, you think that people do care. You understand? I remember one time I was riding around in my hoopty. I had a black hoopty, and I had this girl at my job making fun of me because I was working so many hours, and I was riding around in my hoopty, and we got off that morning, and I rode around, and I'm driving past the bus stop, and this same girl that was making fun of me, she was waiting at the bus stop. Okay, and I'm riding around in my car, and not saying she wasn't making fun of my car, but she was just making fun about all the hours and stuff that I was working. But obviously, hey, you know what? I got a car that works, driving me back and forth, and someone who's, was making fun of me and stuff like that, don't even have a car. All right. So my point to that is that it doesn't matter what your car, what type of car it is. As long as you get from point A to point B, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got more money in your pocket, and then you get to do the things that you need to do. All right. So less money you have to pay out. That means the less time you have to work, more time you have to put towards something you love, which is reselling, going out there, buying some clothes, buying whatever items that you do. I buy clothes, but sourcing items that you want. You have enough time to do that. Have enough time to list them. Those are the things that, hey, you really, really want to do. You don't want to spend your time going to work every day just so you can drive a fancy car, which is probably going to be parked in your driveway or on the street most of the time. Okay. So, any car works. Any car works. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, I'm going to try to cut it short because I know this video is running a little bit long. Now, my other point is food, right? And I have some other things, but I'm just going to cut it short with food. Now, we spend a lot of money on food. I know some people are like, whatever, I got to eat. Now, this is something that I have discovered, but I have not yet practiced yet. And that's finding a way to get food for cheap. Obviously, that's sometimes a lot of our expenses, especially when we have a large family, right? So I believe every day we spend too much money on food, right? Not saying that we can't get food. We have access to food, but we spend too much money on food. The reason why we spend too much money on food because we don't focus on trying to get food cheaper. We don't focus on that. We know every month we got to go buy food, so we go and buy food. And we don't pay attention to that at all. We know we go to Walmart, there's food there, we buy it, whatever it is. We spend $200, $300, $400 on food, and that's it. Sam's Club, same thing, whatever, $200, $300, $400 on food, and then that's it. So, but if you pay a little bit more attention to sales and trying to figure out couponing, there's a good chance that you can pay a lot less for your food. Probably like 50% less for your food, and maybe even more if you're really, really good at it. But there's a way to pay less for food, right? There's a way to pay less for food. I'm going to start walking it back inside because my break time is over with. But there's a way to pay less for food. So, you guys, and obviously this is not no couponing video, so I don't really have any big tips right now with couponing, but there's a way we can pay less. And I have started looking it up. I just have not been able to practice. Haven't been able to practice yet, but there is, methods, and there's tons and tons and tons of videos out there that we could watch and would help us figure out how to pay less for food. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with using coupons and trying to figure out the sales patterns of a store. It's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, when you pay less money for food, I mean, hey, who doesn't want to do that? And you can save yourself, like I said, 50% off of what you would normally buy. So imagine you paying every month $400, and some people pay more than that, you know what I'm saying, for food. And I'm sure I pay more money than that. I think on a month basis, who knows how much I pay for food? I don't even know. I don't even track it. But I know sometimes we'll go out for one shopping experience and pay like $200. And that's, and that's, the month is not even done yet. So, we'll go out several times, after, my kids run through the pantry and eat all the food, and have to go out again and get some food. So we spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on food. Why not, why not pay less? Why not pay less? All right, guys, break time is up. About to go back in to work, to my many places of work. And you guys, thanks for watching. If you agree, I know it's at the end of the video, so at the beginning of the video, I should have told you guys to just speed up the video, go to the settings, make it a lot faster so you don't have to listen to me rant for 30 minutes. But I hit you guys up the next